Men often fail to notice the exact moment when a woman begins losing interest. They don't understand what caused it, and if they don't understand, they can't influence it. But today, we're discussing something that explains this entire dynamic: the Zeigarnik effect. The Zeigarnik effect is a psychological principle stating that people remember incomplete or interrupted tasks far better than completed ones. It creates cognitive tension that we desperately want to resolve. Let me illustrate. Your friend comes to your house, you open the door, he walks in, and you close it. Simple. This is a task you complete on autopilot without thinking. But imagine he stays in the doorway instead. You can't close the door. Now he starts telling you something, and suddenly, something you never usually think about becomes an obsessive thought. You're barely listening to what he's saying because all you can focus on is one thing: closing that door. Now project this onto relationships. The person who initiates the breakup exits the communication relatively painlessly. The person who gets left behind grieves intensely. But here's what most people don't understand. It's not that all the good ones left. I've seen thousands of stories, countless cases where men had everything they needed to be happy, where they could have chosen better women, and yet they suffered through this period of their lives painfully. Why? Because a breakup is an incomplete task. His task was to build a happy relationship with her. Now he's trying to close that door, to restore what was lost. But he can't. Not in this moment, so it becomes a trap. I've had countless men come to my consultations who experienced severe heartbreak, and they'd tell me the same thing. Years ago, they actually wanted to leave this woman. Maybe they even did leave, but then they got back together. Interestingly, when they were the ones who wanted to leave, they didn't suffer from her absence. They didn't grieve. But the moment she left them, it transformed into an obsessive idea. The difference isn't the person, it's the circumstances of the breakup. Here's what matters most. All communication between men and women is an exchange of information about life positions, values, and intentions toward each other. Whether it's early text exchanges on dating apps, first dates, or established relationships, there's always a critical moment when the woman starts doubting whether she should continue. That moment is the finish line. Now, I want to be clear. Yes, the person who initiates contact first needs to break it off. But let me add important nuance. If a woman is messaging you and begins this bargaining, which is extremely common, she might hesitate about giving her number, meeting up, or whether she even wants a relationship right now. She's testing you. If you move toward her hesitation and match her doubt, you've lost. You won't find a stable position in this communication. You have two options. First, simply end the conversation and stop overthinking it. Second, demonstrate that you won't cling to this possibility. For example, you might say something like, "Look, I'm not even sure if I want something serious right now. And honestly, I can see our relationship would probably have problems. Arguments, drama, all that. But I wouldn't mind seeing you." You're keeping her interest at a moderate level while demonstrating that you're not attached to this outcome. This creates the paradox that makes you attractive. So how do we avoid falling into the Zeigarnik trap ourselves and actually increase our effectiveness in communication with women? The answer is simple. Develop the ability to leave when you need to leave. This sounds straightforward, and it seems like any man could do it if he just wanted to. But that's not true. Right now, I want you to scan your past. Have you ever done this? Not in some story where you lost interest. I mean a situation where you were attached, where you wanted to stay, but you made a conscious decision to stop, and you actually followed through with action. Most men have never had this experience. That means they can't actually do it. And that means there's a hidden fear. The fear that she might leave first. This fear constantly forces you to shrink, to be accommodating, and women lose interest because of it. It's a closed loop. You're afraid she might leave, so you become a nicer, more agreeable guy. She starts to drift away from you. You hear advice saying, be ready to leave her, and you think, sure, I'm ready. Women reject me anyway. What's the harm? But who wants to admit to themselves that they don't even know how to do this? Even if you had one experience like this in your past, it's not enough. Only through practice, through 2 to 3 cycles of actual experience, can you truly develop this capacity. It's invisible until you test it through action. Here's the truth women are actually seeking. They want to be with a man who could leave but doesn't. There's no contradiction here. You can see her, communicate with her, build a relationship, even create a family life, all while maintaining that internal readiness, that quiet knowledge that you could walk away. Let me use an analogy. Imagine meeting a thug in a back alley. Nothing provokes a person to negotiate more than realizing their opponent can actually fight back and isn't helpless. Suddenly, the thug finds reasons why he probably shouldn't do anything to this person today. He starts thinking, this is a decent person, probably not worth it. It's the same with problematic women. I see men take full responsibility when a woman stops valuing them. But I want to emphasize again, this isn't about expressing anger toward her. A man who humiliates himself and tolerates mistreatment isn't being noble. He's afraid. He's terrified of making the difficult, unpleasant decision he should have made long ago. He's avoiding the pain by staying, but that avoidance becomes its own kind of suffering. I saw a comment recently from a man who wrote, Maxim, you talk a lot about how to break up with someone, but you don't talk about how to build relationships. I wish you would. I want to answer him, and everyone who feels similarly. I'm absolutely convinced that his effectiveness in relationships is near zero. I'm certain most of his relationships ended badly, which is why he's seeking solutions. That's good. But here's the problem. He's trying to protect the feeling that he needs to grind his teeth through serious relationships and hope something works out eventually. He's not willing to change, so he searches for advice that will supposedly increase his effectiveness. But he'll stay the same. He doesn't understand that if a man develops the capacity I'm talking about, his options won't decrease. They'll multiply. But the path to gaining this ability isn't easy. So we end up with 2 worlds. On one side, there are men who know they need to work and grow, but they don't know how, and they're absolutely unwilling to change. On the other side, there are men who are open to growth, who practice, who take action, and who get results. Thank you all for watching.